Hi everyone, welcome back to a new TouchDesigner tutorial. Thank you so much for watching my first tutorial, and I decided to make a Patreon so you can find the TOE files on my Patreon and you can download them directly from there. I have the link in my bio. So this is a tutorial that is based on another tutorial by elekktronaut on YouTube. So thank you so much for this tutorial, and I decided to take it in my own direction using some videos of plants that I took. So when I press the 1 key, that resets the feedback loop and we see the plants appearing. And so I'm going to show you how to make that yourself using any video that you want to use. So once again, I'm just going to walk through what I already have built here, and I'm going to try to make it as clear as possible. I'm going to reiterate again that I am still a beginner, so I hope I explain everything well. Alright, so let's get started. I'm going to turn off my display here. Alright, so to start, you're going to put down a movie file in top. And so for me, that's going to be my plant video. It's a video that I took in the forest, and then I edited it. And here we can see that we have a lot of green, and that's really what I wanted to appear. So it's important to pay attention to the colors in your video, and that will make sense later on. So to get started, I put down my video. My resolution is 1080 by 1080. Next, you're going to attach a fit top. And these are my settings for my fit top. I have native resolution and my scale is 1:1. Background color is black. Pre-multiply RGB by alpha is on. And then there's an option to do things with monochrome, but I have that bypassed. I'm just going to erase that, but you can see what that does for you. You can mess around with adding a monochrome top. Can just show you for good measure what that's going to do to my final result. So that's giving me a different effect. And yeah, you can play around with all of your settings. All right, so for now, we're gonna not use the monochrome. And now here I have my level. And so this is gonna be really in individual settings depending on the colors that you have in your image. So for me, what I have showing here is the things that I wanted to appear. And so I have my greens quite high. You see, if I turn down my greens, it would only be that appearing later on. So I have my greens quite high, and you can mess around with this yourself, depending on your image. And so, for example, if you have a lot of red, you're going to want to turn up the red a lot, etc. So after your level, we're going to put down a null, and your null is going to connect to your Luma blur. And in your Luma blur, your type is Gaussian luminance, black value 0, white value 1, black filter width 1, white filter width 81, and repeat. And your Luma blur is going to connect to a comp. And so here on my comp, I have multiply, and on the top of my Luma blur, on the top of my comp, I have my Luma blur, and then on the bottom I have the null. So you're going to connect your Luma blur to your comp and your null to your comp, but on the lower input, and you can select multiply. And you can also see at the end of your project what you want to change in your comp in order to get a different result. All right, so now we have our comp, and now we're going to create a feedback loop. So our null going to a Luma blur, the null is also going to the comp, Luma blur to the comp. Then you're going to put down up here a feedback top. And your feedback top is going to later be targeting a different comp in order to create the feedback loop. And then you're going to put down a circle top, and your circle top settings, your radius is going to be really small. I have mine at 0.005, no rotate. My horizontal and vertical justification is center. Fill color is white. Fill alpha 1, border color black. Background color black. Pre-multiply RGB by alpha is on, and tally is on, and a bit of softness, but you don't want too much softness. And so we have our circle going into our feedback, and then you're going to put down a keyboard. So you're going to put in your keyboard chop, and here it should have already 1 on the keys, and if you don't already have 1, you can put in 1. And then in your feedback, you're going to put your reset pulse. You're going to want to put this so that every time you click the 1 key, that's going to reset your pulse. In your keyboard 1, I have my sample rate at 60, and you can mess around with that as well. Those are my settings. All right, so your feedback is going to also connect into your Luma blur. Then we're going to get this feedback loop started. From your feedback, which is connected into your Luma blur, you're going to put down another comp. And so this comp is going to connect to your feedback, and it's also going to connect to your comp that you put down earlier. And now your target top in your feedback loop is going to be this comp. So your second comp that you're putting down. So make sure that you have that, otherwise the feedback loop won't work. And here my operation is add. From there, you're going to add an edge, and here is going to also be a moment where it's really individual settings. So for me, I had it select green in order to make my edge really around the green parts. So you can mess around with that and see what has the best result with your video. I think that that's probably something that would be good to look at later on. Once you've kind of finished setting up your tutorial, you can come and see about adjusting your edge. Here I have my channel mask RBA and no green passes 1. your edge is going to be pretty individual settings depending on your input video. So, but that's going to help a lot with your final results. So we have our comp going into another comp, and that edge, and then your initial comp is going to go into another comp. And here, our operation is multiply. And so you have your edge going into this comp and your initial comp going into that comp. So I'm just going to take a little zoom out for everyone, and hopefully all of that is good for everyone. And so there's not very much left to do here. At this stage, we already have a pretty good setup. So every time I'm pressing 1, we have our image appearing, which is pretty great. I decided, this is a stylistic choice, but I decided to put down a feedback edge, which is, more of a stylistic choice. And that's what gives this kind of glowy, dreamlike edge. And then in these settings, you can change your source gain. You can change the color of your edge. I have mine a bit red-brown to kind of contrast with the green. And so these are my settings for my feedback edge. Once again, that is a really creative choice for each person. Then I put down a sharpen, and these are my amounts for my sharpening. I have 0.721. My dry and wet mix is up to 1. For anyone that isn't sure, your feedback edge is going to be here in your palette under image filters. So we have our feedback edge, and we also have sharpen. And so you just pull these down and then you connect your tops. And the image filters are really fun. You can do a lot towards the end of your project with those. All right, to get rid of my palette. And so now I have my feedback edge, I have my sharpen, and I'm going to put down an RGB key, and that is going to automatically make the background black instead of this kind of PNG squares. Right, now I have my black background, and I put down a null. And so that's everything. Then you're just going to connect everything to your window. And for anyone that isn't sure how that works, your window operator is going to be your last top or your last operator. And then you can go into perform or open to full screen that for your projections or just to look at it in a nicer visual. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that it was clear. Once again, I have this file and one other file in my Patreon if that's what you're interested in and you want to just kind of follow along on videos, but that you really want the exact result that maybe you're looking for. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna try to upload once a week. I've been doing a lot of different visuals lately and I'm loving it. So let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that everyone has success and does something interesting. Thank you so much, and well, have fun.